Welcome back as we continue our construction of this A6 turnout in O gauge fine scale. Okay, my method of building is to build a cross as we go. That is, I start with a stock rail and I build a cross all the time. So that means the next job we're going to do is to make the V crossing here. Okay, some people decide and what they do is they put the stock rail in and then put the turnout rail in and build up the middle. I prefer to go across, okay, so they have got any sort of discrepancies, they manifest themselves by moving the turnout rail in or out a little bit rather than sort of squeezing in at the V crossing. So we're going to make the V crossing, and just let's have a little instruction about V crossings. Okay, and here's the one I made earlier. Let's see if we can get that in the camera nicely. Yeah, okay. And this is the V. This is the V of the V crossing. The crossing V. I'm saying V crossing, that's wrong. It's the crossing V. Okay, this part here. And then it leads into these two components that are called the wing rails. The crossing V and the wing rails make up one component called a common crossing. That's the crossing or the frog. You've got various words for it, or names I should say. So we're just going to make the V of the crossing for the time being. You can buy the V separately from track suppliers, or you can buy the whole of the common crossing, and they'll sell them to you in the sizes that you want, whether you want a 1 in 6 like we're making here, or a 1 in 8 or whatever. Okay, so that's what we're going to be making, the crossing V, and it forms a part of the common crossing because we're going to build a cross. So I've got two pieces of rail here and I've cut them to size, well not cut them to size actually, I've cut them well over size. And these, I'm going to make sure that I get them the right way up. Okay, I've already sort of put a little start on the end to help us get our churs on when we chur it up, and these are going to form our crossing V, and we're going to file them to shape and then we're going to solder them. Now this part of the construction, it's very easy to get confused and get things upside down, so it's very important to keep things the right ways up and make sure that we're filing the right side of the rail. In order to do that, okay, and this might strike you a bit odd, I'm going to mark the outside of each rail with my red marker like that. Okay, that's the outside of that one. Right way around, just double checking, and that's the outside of that one. I'm just going to mark it so I know what it is. Okay, so we've marked that. Might seem a bit strange to you that why is he going to file on the outside when he wants to join them into a V? Seems to be doing it on the wrong side. Stick with me, all will become apparent. Now, I want to show you a few things. I'm just going to switch to a different camera position today. So, once upon a time in the dim and distant past, I used to be able to buy this little block, a little jig block, off a model supplier called Porchdown Models. And they made this jig, which was great for making crossing V's, and it did 4 sizes. It did a 1 in 6 on this side there, a 1 in 8 there, you can see it's a shallow angle, turn it over, okay, and you get a 1 in 5 and a 1 in 7, so it would make 4 sizes. Now you can still get these jigs, only this one by Porchdown Models not made. Dave Hawkins of Porchdown Models because kindly sent me the drawings and said if you want to get on and make one for yourself, or myself to sell or whatever, then off you go with his best wishes. But unfortunately I don't have access to a milling machine as such. But you can buy these jigs, but from the Scale 7 Society if you are in doing O gauge. But again, it's a member sale and it doesn't do 4 sizes. Each jig does just one size. So if you want to do a 1 in 6, you buy a 1 in 6 jig. If you want to do a 1 in 8, you buy a 1 in 8 jig. But they have a very large range of sizes, and they also do a modified technique of putting the V crossing together, which strikes me as being slightly better than what I'm going to do. Fundamentally the same, but with a slight improvement. So we can't use this jig because you won't be able to put your hands on one. So here's one I made earlier. Okay, so let me get this in the camera. All I've done here on this block is I've measured a line 1 inch down, okay, and drawn it parallel to the top face of this piece of wood here, okay, and then measured 6 inches back and draw a line there to give me a V which reflects a 1 in 6. I've then knocked a few nails in it, okay, just to hold our rails in while we prepare them. Now, what we need to do now is get to the filing, okay, and file them to shape. Now I did say, okay, and I did mark, okay, our pieces of rail with the side that we're going to file so that we don't get confused, because it's easy to do it. So all I'm going to do now is put this rail, whoops, that's it. Okay, so in my jig like so, with the red face upwards, okay, and then I'm going to get this Sharpie pen. Where is the Sharpie? Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm just going to shade off the area I need to file so that I've got a line to file to. Where's that turned out? Yeah, that's got it. Okay, so I'll put that down there, and I don't know if you can see the black mark on it that I've made. Bring that to centre of the picture. Okay, so I've got a little diagonal black line there, okay, and I can file to that line, okay, which is what I'm going to do next. Okay, so we're almost ready to file. What I've done, I've set it in at the angle I think I want, and I've used my little jig here to sort of sight it up and make sure this line here is sort of horizontal, so I've got it set right. So all I need to do is file parallel to the top of the vise. Okay, so off we go. Oh, the file I'm using, let's get a picture of that. Yeah, okay, there he is. Local hardware supplied. Okay, not much. Get it in the local hardware shop, but a good rough cut. I don't like filing, I don't think it's any fun. I just like to get it done and take off as much as I can, as quickly as I can. So off we go. I'm keeping the file parallel to the vise, okay, no weight on the back stroke and a little bit of weight on the forward stroke. Mind you don't catch your finger on the rail here as you're filing back and forth. Have a little look. Make sure we're taking down both sides of the rail, and indeed we are, because we're going to take these, the bull head and the flat rail off. We're going to get rid of them and go right through to the other side. I think you move them. Getting to the top of the vise. I might have pushed it down a bit while I'm filing. I don't know. Not too fussed, as long as I feel I'm still taking off the metal, I'll just keep going. Okay, let's have a look what we've done there. Okay, so does that look like a 1 in 6? Let's have a look. Yeah, I can hold that. Yeah, okay, yeah. I've just tried this against my jig. You can see the angle I've put on it, and we're not far off there of a 1 in 6. So that's one piece done. I'll just take off the burrs. Okay. And if I just lay that on the vise there, you can see I've gone right through the burrs there to the other side of the, right through the webs of the bull head and the flat bottom, right to the other side of the rail, taking it all off, gone diagonally right the way through the rail at a 1 in 6 angle. Okay, so that's the first bit done, and I'm going to do the second one just the same. Okay, I just thought by way of demonstrating the superior technology that we have available to us in our little crossing jig, I'll show you how handy a jig can be. I've got this in the 1-in-6 position. I've got my rail through and it's just sticking out a bit there, and all I need to do is get my file and take that off, which is what I'm going to do now, and I'll just show you how simple it is, because you know it's at the right angle, you don't have to mess about. I'll turn it the other way around, so I'm filing into it. Okay, file into it and get our file and off we go. Okay, job done. Nice and easy, no measuring, no nothing, stick it in, file it, excellento. Just pull it out. So, where are we? Yeah, nice job there. Pull it back so you can get a focus on it. Okay, nice and easy if you get a jig. So, you know, if you're going to make all 8 size crossings, B8s say, you're going to say, right, I'll just use B8s and invest in an 8 size jig, you would not be wasting your money. Okay, so that's those filed up. So I'm just going to come back to laying the rails that are going to make our crossing V, okay, back on the template, to just show you that it looks like I've filed them on the wrong side, and I've got our red marks, okay, which is denoted the edge I was going to file on both rails. Okay, there they are, you can see that, the red mark. But to put this right now, yeah, okay, because I wouldn't believe you saying, Rick, you've got all this wrong. What I'm actually going to do is take the end that I've filed and I'm going to bend it straight so that the V transfers over onto the inside. Okay, and you're going to need a good pair of pliers and a vise to do that. Okay, so here we are. I've got the rail, part of the V crossing rail, clamped in the vise, and as you can see, I've clamped it so that just where we started to file here, yeah, okay, that's just level with the top of the vise, okay, and our V's going off to that side. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take a pair of pliers, okay, nice good strong pair of pliers. I'm going to get right over the top of it, nice and square, okay, and with my pliers I'll just zoom out slightly so you can see me bend the rail. Just come on, zoom out. Zoom, 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 zoom. Come on. Okay. So I'm just going to get right over the top of that now, yeah, okay, and I'm going to bend that V straight. I'm going to transfer it to the other side. I think that's about it. Doesn't take a great deal of strength, but okay, let's have a look. Oh, I think we want a bit more though. We want a bit more. We want a bit more. Put that back in. Okay, around about there. Yep. I've got my vise on an angle so that you can see it with the camera. So I just need to bend it a little bit more. Here we go. Good grip on the vise. Pliers nice and square. And give it a bit more. What does that look like? Let's have a look. Bit more, I think. Bit more. Let's say just take your time with these things. No point rushing at it and getting it wrong. Again, making sure we're in the right place in our vise with our top, and again it's got a little bit more bend. We're slowly getting there. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's straight enough. I can put my ruler against that. Okay, I don't know if you'll see this. I'm trying to get in the camera. Let's have a see if we do. Oh, can you see? Slide it down. Here we are, pretty much straight now, yeah, okay. I'll need perhaps a little bit more bend, but you just need it to match up with the ruler. I'm just going to give it a little bit more. A little bit more. Just touch, yeah, okay, about there. Make sure it's nice and square. If you're not square, you can bend it upwards and downwards, which will deflect your rail, which is what we absolutely do not want. Okay, let's try now. Try the side of my ruler. Yeah, we're good there now. We're there now, I think. I'll just show you that. Whoops, whoopsie. Yeah, okay. See how it sticks against the ruler side. All nice and level, thank you very much. Okay, that's one done, and we're going to do the same to the other. So, moving on, what I want to show you here is the bits that are filed are now the flat portion of the rail because we bent them over. Okay, so there's a red mark, that's the bit we filed. Okay, that is now the flat part of the rail. And the same on the V, the piece of rail that's going to form the turnout V on the turnout road. Okay, so the bit we didn't file is now tapered and the bit we did file is now flat. Right, so let's now look at the way we're going to assemble these. Red mark again on the outside of our V crossing, and this is the rail that's going to comprise of, just getting my little jig, okay, this rail is going to be the main, okay, and this is the turnout part of the V. Now, what I'd like you to notice here is we don't join them at the tip. What we do is we bring the turnout rail part of the V in to match up to the side of the main. Okay, so we do it like that. I hope you can see that. We don't join it at the very end. We come back from the bit that we filed and transferred the chamfer onto the other side, and we join them up there. And that's where we're going to solder. Now what I'm also going to do, okay, I'm just going to drill a little hole in my block here, okay, a little hole in my block here, okay, and I'm going to put this washer and this screw in to clamp it down and keep it in line. Okay, so I've got everything clamped in place, drilled my hole, put a little screw and a washer in it, and I hope you can see there how I've introduced, okay, I've got my crossing V rail for my main here, and I've brought the turnout part of the V, crossing V, into the side of it, not at the end. Now I'm all ready to solder. I've brushed up the ends, I've got my scratch brush and I've brushed up the ends inside and out to make sure they're all nice and shiny, and we're all ready to solder. So I've got my flux brush. Again, plenty of flux, I'm not going to mess about with this now. Put plenty on. Okay. Thank you very much. Get it in the middle there, up the V. That's it. Okay, that's fluxed. And now, okay, I've got my soldering iron. Yeah, well, that's hot. That's too hot maybe, but never mind. Right, okay. So when we go with the solder, nice big blob again. And work it right the way where you've got that join. Warm it up, there we go. Can you see it's flowing to the join there? Okay, so that's it. Unplug the soldering iron, give it a wipe. Let's have a see what we've got. So I'll just unscrew to release it. Okay, let's hope it comes past the nails I knocked in as guides. Okay, will it? Yes it does. Okay. Yes, that's great. Now if you can see, the solder's actually flowed through to the other side, so it's soldered it on both sides. There's the top, okay, nicely soldered, bring that down to focus, and there's the bottom, again nicely focused. Has it got it? Yes it has. So again, on the deck, wire brush, clean it up. Both sides. So the little gap where I brought the two rails together, where they were at the side, but the solder's going to fill that. If you got little, you know, it doesn't have to be absolutely smack on. Yeah, okay. You can have little gaps. Yeah, okay. It's not a problem. You know, it's not a problem. The solder will fill the gaps for us, and we can just get the file and clean it up later. Okay, so crossing V soldered, success. So continuing, we want to place our crossing V now, okay, and fit it on our template. But before I do that, I did notice that I've just got a little bit of a bump on the turnout side, okay, where I've soldered the turnout rail of the crossing of the V, okay, to the main. I've just got a little bump. So if you end up with that, no problem, not the end of the world. Just get your file, okay, and just give it a rub and smooth it off. That's all you need to do. Yeah, okay, you might have just been slightly out of position. Don't worry about it. Okay, just file it flat. Okay, what's that like now? Yeah, that's better. Okay, now then, I'm placing our crossing V, okay, where it should go on our templates. And if you look on your template, if you've most templates will have it on, there's two bits of information, and they're written here and there. And one is intersection FP, that's intersection fine point, and the other one is blunt nose, okay, i.e. where the end of our crossing V should go. Yeah, now we've obscured it with a sleeper here, but we can refer back to our other template and have a look where it actually is, and it's just towards, okay, this side, the V side of the sleeper here, okay. And usually you find that they usually sit round about the middle, but anyway, so that's where we want it to be. The middle and back, I would say, is where we want to be. The end of our V wants to be, the middle and to the rear of that. Now then, our main rail on the V is straight, but our turnout rail curves out for here. And if you look over the top of your template and the turnout rail on your V, you'll find that it's not following the curve. It's only a very slight curve, not much of it there, okay, but what you need to do is just to tease a curve into it and take it between your finger and your thumb and just give it a little tease to just try and tease a curve in it. Don't use much, do not use pliers, okay. Your fingers and your thumbs should be enough just to get the rail to just bend just a little bit, to just mimic that curve, okay. Don't be using pliers and that sort of thing. Let's have a look where we are there. Yeah, a little bit more there, I think. Just mimic, don't put a crease in it, just to mimic that curve. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I think we'll call that a draw there. Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do now is mount my chairs on my crossing V. Okay, so I've slid my chairs onto my crossing V, and being mindful of the little wedges pointing the right way. But as you can see, it presents us with an obvious problem in that the chairs are too wide to slide into the V to support the crossing V. What I do is I will crop the chairs off, chop them, reduce their width so that they'll slide together. And also, what I'll also do is I'll use that method of just slicing the chair in half and putting it on one side just to render some more support. So I think I'll probably get about, of the 4 chairs that I want on my V-crossing, I'll probably get about 3 full chairs cropped down, and I'll have to substitute some half chairs on the side. Now you can get specialised chairs that do this job for you, for the V-crossing and the crossing nose, etc., and securing the check rails, but in order to keep costs down, I just take the normal chairs and modify them as the needs suit, okay, to suit me. But with 3D printing, I've seen a lot more people doing specialised little jobs like this. Okay, so I'm now going to cut these up and see how we go on. Where are we? Let's get our knife in there. Just draw the back so I can get at them. Come on, let you come. Thank you. Okay. So cropping them as close as I can, yet they're still going to render some support. Okay, that's that one. That's that one. Crop a bit off that one. Well, you've got a really shallow V crossing, like a, I don't know, 1 in 10 or a 1 in 12, this becomes quite a problem, because your V is much closer together the further out it gets, and you end up having to crop a lot of chairs to support your V crossing. So I'm just going to have a quick loop now. Okay, so what I've done, I've just cropped the insides. Okay, let's have a see what we've got. Okay, so I've just cropped the insides, okay, of my chairs, okay, so that they'll slide down together down the V crossing, okay. And when I've got them all chopped up and ready in position, I'll be doing that. I'll not show you that because that's just tedious, and when I've got them chopped up and in position, I'll come back to the video. So I've cut my chairs back on my crossing V, and of the 4 sleepers, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, the 5th one being directly under the blunt nose of the crossing V, I've only managed to get 3 chairs on each side. Okay, but I'm not worried about that. That's not a problem, because I'll put the 3 full chairs on either side, and then here, okay, where I can't get a full chair in, either side I'll put a half chair in. Just chop the chair in half like I've done previously, you've seen me do previously, and glue that up against the crossing V. But before I do that, I want to come on to these little things here. Okay, these are track gauges. These are a roller type, what I use, and these are O gauge fine scale, which means they'll separate the track by 32 millimeters. Okay, and they also have a set flange way which is in line with O gauge fine scale standards. So these will build me track to O gauge fine scale standards. Recent years, there's been a move by O gauge modelers not to build their turnouts in 32mm, but to build it in a gauge called O gauge modified fine, or OMF. O gauge modified fine, and instead of being 32mm, it's 31.5, and the flangeways are also, I think it's 0.5 mm narrower. And what it does, it stops the wheels when they get to the frog here, the big gap in the frog that you see on points, dropping down that hole, so the vehicle transits across the turnout much more smoothly. I've not tried it yet. I say yet. I've not tried it yet. But everybody sort of I've seen on the O Gauge Guild forum, join the O Gauge Guild, because you'll get on the forum, people pass information on, answer your questions. It's a good resource to have available to you, especially if you're in O Gauge Guild, if you're modelling in O Gauge. All the feedback off them has been good as regards making their turns out in O Gauge modified fine, and indeed I think the next ones I'll be doing, I might have a crack at that. Obviously I didn't want to go down that path on this one because I didn't want to be doing a video where I was experimenting. I wanted to be on known territory. Okay, so the next thing I want to do then is just place our track gauges on our crossing V. Okay, just to bring it into place. There's one, okay, and there's one, I don't know if you can see this fella here. What I've done here is I'll just bring it off the camera. I've just filed off one of the outer rims of the gauge so that I can actually place it on a crossing V. Okay, it doesn't need, you know, it'll take a rail that's thicker than a rail if you like. You can fit it somewhere where you don't have the luxury of the rail at the other side, like on a crossing V. So I'm just going to put them on, okay, and that makes me crossing V there, okay, and I'm gonna just pull it back so that the very tip, okay, is halfway across that sleeper here. Okay, it's just halfway across it. I'm going to take it back just a tad more so it's less than halfway across, okay, which is what I wanted. I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to put it in line with the switch rail, the switch rail on the main, okay. I'm just going to put it in line with that, okay, and just off camera I'm going to loop down the ruler to see how well it lines up with where the crossing V is, to see I've got a nice straight line. Just wandering in a bit there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that ruler's in line. Okay, so what we can do now is glue our crossing V into place. So I just want to move them chairs back a bit to position them. Okay, are we all good? Yeah, we're all in line. So I've got my gauges in place, making sure I've got 32mm gauge Twix, my main stock rail and my main rail on my crossing V. Lid off glue, give them a drenching. You might find your brush is a little bit hard when you first go into your glue, but don't worry about it. Okay, and because I've put that bend on the turnout side of the crossing V, I can see that my rail is following the path of the crossing V rail turnout side. Okay, so I'm just going to glue it in, bit of light pressure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Beautiful, thank you very much. Yep, we're all in there. And those two, I'll leave my gauge in place. Those two half chairs that I spoke about earlier, I've cut them already. Yeah, okay, using the half side of the chair that doesn't have the wedge, because this is on the side where the wheel drops down, where we have the wheel flange passing between the rails, so we don't want a wedge in there because it will cause a derailment. So there we go, I'm just going to push them into place. Okay, so they just kiss up to our crossing V. Yeah, okay. I'm going to give them a drenching. Whoops. Come into here, bit it. Just push that underneath. Bit of gentle pressure. Let's get that one. Push that one up against it. Drench it with glue. Plastic well, call it what you will, bit of gentle pressure. Job done. tap on the glue, crossing V, glued into position. Okay, so as we say, we're building across. Okay, so that's that operation completed. Now, I've just realised that I've made a ghastly mistake with this crossing V in fitting it. I'm thinking about moving on and not dealing with what I should be doing. And that is, I've not trimmed to length the crossing V rails. Okay, they're too long. And I don't want to be sawing them on the template because I'll damage you. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a line across there and with my permanent marker pen, put a black mark on the main rail of the crossing V, and then I'm just going to add about 10mm on the turnout sleeper. Remember we said we want about 10mm beyond the sleeper on the turnout rail. Okay, you can see that there, yeah. And I'm going to mark that there, okay, as my point where I'm going to cut it. Yeah, a bit rich there, yeah, okay, big mark there. Okay, so there are my marks where when I remove it I'll want to cut it. I should have done that before I glued it down. Right, I did say as a hint that if you want to unglue plastic weld, all you have to do is put some more plastic weld on it, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to drench it, okay, and as I'm drenching it I'm going to lift it off the sleeper, and let's have a see how we go on. Okay, drench it, lift it, drench these here, trying to keep a lot of them wet at once. I'm not going to bother with the two I put at the side because I can slide back into them. I want to drench it with plastic weld all over. Okay, and then I'm going to try and lift them off. Get it drenched all over. Okay, let's try and lift them off. Come. Knifey. Just have to lift them from underneath, I think. Come on. Oh, leave that for coming off. Proves the strength of the glue, doesn't it? That one's up. That one up. That one's up. That one's up. Keeping hold of the thing here. That one's up. That one's up. That one's up. Should release now, please. Please release me, let me go. Just draw it back a bit. Okay. Just lift off, please. There it goes. I might have to renew some of the chairs. We'll have to see. There it comes. Yeah, there we are. We left two behind. Don't worry. We'll take them off. Right now. Okay. Okay. So, never forget, experience is only the culmination of mistakes. Clean that up. We've still got plenty of glue on there. Stop the chair sticking up on the sleeper. Oops, both hands behind the blade rake, remember. Okay. Right, okay, so that's rescued our crossing V. Cost us a couple of damaged chairs here, okay, but that's not a problem. So what I can do now is cut my crossing V to size and then refit it. So continuing on from our little disaster, I've refitted the V crossing now. Let's move that to picture, that's it. Refitted the V crossing now. I've had to scrap a couple of the chairs because they got stretched when I pulled it apart, but no great crisis there, and we're back and glued together. And of course our V crossing rails, our V rails are at the right length now. Cut that corresponding with that one, and I've measured 10mm from that sleeper there and cut that to correspond with that. So we've now got a V that's the right size. I could have whipped them off with a Dremel because I've got a little hand Dremel with a disc cutter in it, but I realise you might not have that, and I also wanted to show you how if you make a mistake, it's easy just to unravel stuff, unpick stuff and go back and put it right, because I'm always making mistakes. Right, okay, so the next job we want to do is to form the wing rails that make up the rest of the common crossing. Okay, and it's hard to see on here, but I'll use a template. These are the wing rails here. They form the check rail at this end. Okay, well they do on the turnout side, and then the part of the running rail for the main here. Okay, and they are cut there. So there's two of them, that one and this one. Okay, now what we're going to do here for the first time is do some serious rail bending, and I'm using bending as strong as I can. It's more like kinking. We want to put kinks into the rail, make those bends as tight as we can, not curves, but really deflect the path of the rail as we form this part of the common crossing on the wing rail, this angle. Yeah, okay. Now I think also stands to sense, I think you'll see that the logic in this, that if the crossing V is a 1 in 6, then the angle on the wing rail is a 1 in 6. And therefore, if you've got a little gauge, one of those little jigs that I spoke about earlier, that will help you form that angle, okay, to make sure you get it right. But we won't use a jig today. We'll just use the template and loop down on it and make sure we get the right angle that way. So I've cut two pieces of rail up to make our wing rails with. I've not cut them to size, I've cut them over length by about 10mm, because we'll cut them to length when we get them in there and we know that they're right and formed correctly. So what we've got to do is put a bend in the rail. Now again, what we've done is we've obscured where the actual bend is with this sleeper here. Okay, so again we can refer back to our template here, and if we see Templot Martin Wynn has kindly given us 3 lines to denote where the bend in the wing rail is, and it's just about a quarter of the way across the sleeper, okay, towards the V crossing. So in reality, okay, it's just in this area here, just about a quarter of the way across the sleeper in this area here. What I've also done, what I also do is get my ruler and measure where it is exactly. And with my ruler I can see that it is just a shade of 45mm. Perhaps let's call it 44mm. So all I'm going to do is get my rail, okay, and mark 44mm along its length. Okay. And I'll just check they're both the same. That would be a good thing. They should be. Yeah, 44. So I'm going to mark both my rails at 44mm. Like I said, chop them over size and put those little chamfers on that help us put the chairs on. So where are we? So I want to take it from that end. Put the chamfer on. Okay. Right, there we are, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to take it from this end. I've dressed the ends off with the file to get a nice square end. I'm just going to place it there. Make sure I get it right. Move my little marker pen. There it is. And I want to mark on at 44mm. That's you. And that's you. So I've marked them both at 44mm. I'm just going to mark and transfer the mark across the top of the rail. Have I transferred it across the top of the rail? No, I've transferred it across the bottom of the rail. Thank you very much. Transfer it across the top of the rail. Where are we? There we are. Okay, so up. 2 marks. 2 marks on the top of the rail, and that's where I want to bend it. And I want to put a nice sharp bend in it as I can. Okay, so I'll just set the camera up so that you can see what I'm doing. Here we are then, ready to bend the rails. What I've done is I've secured the rail into the vise, making sure it's nice and parallel. Okay, so I don't put a downwards or upward bend in it at all. Okay, we keep the bend in the same plane. And I've got the mark just peeping out from the edge of the vise jaw, just there, just peeping out. Okay, and I'm going to use a pair of pliers. Okay, get these from any hardware shop. Okay, nothing special, just a pair of pliers. Okay, and I'm going to get my pliers and bring that right up to the vise jaw. Okay, making sure I've got all of it nice and square, nice and tight as I can. Yeah, and then bend it. Okay, just twist my pliers to put in a bend. Okay, what I think is 1 in 6. That's a bit savage. I think that's a bit too much. But all I'll need to do then is try it against my template. Okay, and I can use the one I made earlier, the template. Okay, yeah, and it is a bit too savage, so I need to take some off. So a little bit of an iterative process here. Put it back in the vise. Okay, whole gauge rail's very strong. You won't be doing any damage to it, bending it back and forth. Okay, and I'm just going to get my pliers and take a bit out. Alright, let's try that. Lie that on top of my template. Okay, and would you know it, I've taken too much out. Need to put a bit back in. Put too much in. Again, that's it. Just be patient and just play around with the bend until you get it right. Lay it on top of the template until you get it right. Nope, I just need a little bit more, and I'm just going to not use the pliers. Just going to just only a little bit. Use my thumb. Yeah, okay, that's smack on there. Okay, I'll just move the camera so you can see what we've done. Okay, I've got it laid on the template and it's at the right angle. Just move that round so you can see that. Okay, I just moved it off there. I'm moving it, but anyway. Place it back on. Okay, so we've got it exactly the right angle. Okay, and so I'm going to do that same thing again with this next bit of rail. Okay, only I'm bending it the other way. So here we are, we've got our two wing rails bent to the correct angle for our 1 in 6 crossing, and as we can see, which is this bit of scrap rail, okay, we got them to the right length at this end because that's where we measured from, but they are over long here at this end where the rail break needs to be, okay, but we're all right there, no problem. And I just bent them, like I say, iterative process, put a bit in, take a bit out until you get it exactly right using the spur template that we had. Now the other little job we've got to do is just flare the ends on at the check rail end, okay, where it acts as a check rail, just to accept the wheel flange, just flare them out a little bit, okay, and I'll show you how I do that, okay, and that is, you don't need to put much in at all, okay, make sure you bend it the right way, okay, and I just use my Vise jaw, okay, I'll show you as a gauge, yeah, just put it in the Vise jaw, okay, and I'll do it in the camera if I can, there we go, yeah, put it in the Vise jaw, okay, and I just get my finger against it and just little flare out, a bit more, little flare out, yeah, okay, no more than that, okay, and I've bent it the wrong way, wouldn't you know, haha, right, okay, just put it in my Vise, just put it in my jaw again, okay, and turn it the other way, in my finger and thumb, just little flare out, yep, little flare out there, and on this one again, I will put it in the right, just get the rail into the end of the pliers there, okay, so I just use the jaws of the pliers as a gauge, just so it's level, and then just get my forefinger against it and a little flare out, a little bit more I think. Okay, and it's nice and looks better if you can get, no piece rail, if you can get your flares to match in the degree of flaring that you put in your, where are we? Just let me show you in the camera. If you can get them to match. As you can see this one, I'll just turn to the camera. Whoops. Bit tedious, that's a bit messy, bit fiddly. Okay, so there we are, and I've flared this one out, this one on this side, a little bit more than the one on that side, so I'm just going to flare him out a little bit more. Again, do it in the camera so you can see, get me in the Vise jaw, use that as a length gauge, the Vise jaw, and a little bit of a flare on it, doesn't need much. Oh, still not enough. Yeah, okay. I've not got my rail bending mojo on me today, obviously. Try again. Just be patient and get the bends right. That's the important thing. Yeah, I'll take that, I think. No, I won't. I'm not happy with that. I want a bit more. What's that like? Have we got equal flares now? Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it, they're equal. Okay, so that's our wing rails bent to shape. Okay, still got to cut them to length yet, mount the chairs on them, but that's the crucial bit done. Okay, so I've chaired up the wing rails. Okay, got them on there. I can't get a chair on every sleeper. Okay, and certainly I can't at the knuckle. But again, we run into that self-same problem where the base plates of the chairs are too wide and bang into each other, which prevents us from getting our rail in place. So again, as I've done previously, I'm going to crop the chair base plates so that I can set my rails at the right place I want. Again, you know, take as little off as possible, but ensure they don't touch each other and get into and interfere with your spacing of your rails. Okay, so I'm just going to crop them as little as I can, but making sure that they don't interfere with each other and upset any gauging that I do when I'm fitting the rails. So moving on, I've got my wing rails in place now with my chairs. I've cropped my chairs and I've got them in place, and I've got them held in place with my track gauges. This one, okay, where the wing rail is part of the main running rail, I've got my track gauge there, and that's gauged off against the main. And then here at this end, okay, where it's the wing rail is part of the flange rail, okay, the check rail I should say, I've got that one with my track gauge resting on top of the very nose of the V crossing, and that's held in position by virtue of the flange gap. This is the track gauge that I filed this outside rim here. I filed a flat on it on this one, and that flat is resting there because it allows me to rest it on a rail like a V crossing that's thicker than a standard rail. Okay, so that's when you buy a track gauge, you just get your file and knock a flat onto it. Okay, so nicely everything held in position, everything in line with the rails. When I get my head over it and have a good look at it, everything's in line there. I'm happy there, and I can look down and I can see, yeah, we're about in line there, yeah, when I get my eye down it. Now, if you were building one on the curve, you would already have teased in, like we did here, teased in the relevant curve for the turnout and the relevant curve for the main, because you're not going to get this wing rail setup is going to have a slight curve in it. Okay, so what I would say at this point, okay, is just forget it's a curved one. Keep your wing rails straight, yeah, okay, and then continue the curve after. It's only going to be for 1.5 inches or so, and on 6 foot radiuses, at least 6 foot radiuses, you won't notice it. Yeah, okay. If, you know, you might feel inclined if you want just to tease a bit of a curve in there, but it's very difficult to do because it's such a short length of rail, and indeed, you know, in the run of the curve through the turnout, if you're making one on a curve, you don't notice it unless it's a very sharp radius. Then you will, but around, you know, if you're making stuff around the 6 foot mark, you probably won't notice it. So, like I said, just to come back to the V crossing, because I did say I'd deal with curves. If you're making one on a curve, you would have already put a curve in here. What I will do is I will check with a straight edge down my main to make sure that my main is lined up when I've fitted it. Yeah, okay. If you're making a curve, you can't use a straight edge, or you can use a small straight edge, you know, something smaller than a 6-inch ruler, something that's nice and straight and thin, where for about the 3 inches or 2.5 inches between your V crossing and your wing rail that you've got, that you know you're in line. And indeed, you know, as good as anything is sighting it with your eye. You know, if you have to put a curve on it, you're making one of a sharp radius and you tease a curve into your wing rail, then, you know, you're as well sighting it with your eye. Get your eye down on your template and sight it by eye. Okay, thank you. Right, so I'm going to glue that into place now. Yeah, we'll just rewind a bit there, as I almost made the same mistake as I made with the V crossing. I'm not going to glue them into place, I'm going to cut them to length. Okay, and my rail joints are seen here between this sleeper, or these two sleepers here. Okay, and that's where I'm going to mark, and then I'm just going to cut my wing rails. Okay, easy for you to say. Just going to mark and cut my wing rails to length. Okay, also, just while we're down here, okay, notice that the 2 black marks that I put on it for bending, okay, put on my ring rails for bending, I've got them where we said they were on our other template, our control template, call it what you like, okay, and they're 1/4 of a way across this sleeper here. That's 1/4 way across from the V crossing, okay, on this sleeper, in the direction of the V crossing, I should say. Okay, so 1/4 way across this sleeper on the V crossing side. So I've got them where it says on the template as well. Okay, so I'll cut them to size and I'm going to glue them in position. I'm going to glue this one first and I'll come back to you, which is the wing rail which forms part of the main running line. Okay, I'm going to glue that in first and then we'll have a little chat about what I've done. Okay, so we're ready to glue in now one of our wing rails, and what I've done is I've used 2 track gauges between my stock rail and the main rail on the wing rail to make sure it's nice and parallel, no movement there. The gauges are quite accurate and not much clearance to them, so you know you get that parallel. Also, another good reason for joining the O gauge guild if you're building an O gauge, and they give you this natty little track gauge. Okay, and it's got the rail width, wheel back to back, check rail, entry point, clearance, and also, just moving pointer, important to us at this point, flangeway clearance, just a little gauge. So I can bob that down my flangeway there to make sure that I've got adequate clearance. In actual fact, I might even use it when I'm gluing, just to ease it up to it so that we've got a nice clearance. Okay, glue, brush, let's go. Give them a drenching. Lovely. Okay, and just get my check rail gauge there, that's it, thank you. Get some on that one there. Just by the nose of the V, and just push it up to get clearance. Just a little bit of pressure. Count to 20. As we do. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Top back on the glue. Okay, just leave our gauges in place just to make sure we're there. Okay. And what we can do is sight down it with the gauge in place, make sure we've got a straight line. Okay, and we can also get our straight edge. Just take our gauges off now. The glue will be nice and dry. Only takes seconds. And take our straight edge and make sure that that lines up perfectly. And indeed it does. And like I say again, if you're making a curved one, you could just use something that's quite short, 2 or 3 inches long, 2.5 inches maybe, and just a short straight edge to check alignment there. Okay, and move on from there. Put the other one in. So here I am ready to fit the other half of the ring rail, the wing rail. Okay, and I'm going to make sure I'm using this one, the track gauge with a little flatter filed on it. Okay, because that will go over the crossing V, and I'm just going to gauge it there off the check rail, making sure that's nicely on my main, and just pressing down. Thank you very much, that's in place, and move it forward so my black mark is just a quarter of the way across that sleeper where it should be, and that we're in line just there. Okay, and I'm also going to use my O gauge, flangeway gauge, get that out properly, and just check it'll pass through there. It's a little bit tight, and you know, I'm not worried. It's a little bit tight, but I'm not worried, because the flangeway allowance on O gauge fine is quite generous for fine scale wheels, so it's a little bit tight on the flangeways. I'm really not that bothered, so I'm going to glue that in now. Now you may have noticed or may not have noticed that the crossing nose at the very tip is unsupported, and you might think that's a bit flimsy, Rick, and you would be right. Okay, but the rail is very strong, as I've said before. The rail is very strong, and before we finish the construction we will take measures to ensure that that crossing nose gets supported. Okay, so there we are. And you might also say this is a bit flimsy, just having 3 chairs holding this critical part of our assembly together. We'll take measures later on to make sure they can't move at all. Okay, as we strengthen the whole construction up, but we'll do that later. Okay, so that's our wing rails in, and we can just get our head down again, as good a measure as any, sighting down the rails to make sure they're in line. As good a measure as any, and again you can, if you feel so inclined, you can get your straight edge and see what that looks like as we bring it down there, just holding it parallel. Yeah, we're alright there, I think. Yeah, we're alright there. Quite happy with that. That's being in line. Yeah, okay. Alright then, that's that bit done. What I thought I'd do is just give you that view of what you should see when you loop down your turnout, when you get your head down on the bench and loop down the turnout. I just thought I'd do that sort of manually. Bit of shake on the camera. Okay, but you can see there, that's what you should be seeing. Everything nicely in line. Just hold it there for a bit. Okay. Everything nicely in line. That's what you should be seeing when you get your head down on the bench and sight it up. Okay.